Down to business.
When he drinks, he thinks.
That's the nectar of the gods, baby.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the number one liquid-fueled, liquid lubricated show on the interwebs. This is the Whiskey Musings Broadcast, and I have to give a most excellent shout-out to all of the non-deprogrammed ultra-mega Neanderthal deplorables, especially those over on Rumble. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I stole that from 3 Chevy over on Rumble. He does it every single night that I'm on. He puts it on there and I keep screwing it up. So this time I went up and I made sure to watch and look and read. I read the damn thing. That's what it is. I can't ever do that right. Anyway, folks, tonight is just, oh my gosh. I'm going to start off, unfortunately, I got to start off on a bit of a sour note. Unfortunately, we've lost 3 more fantastic members of our military due to Joe Biden's ineptitude. And yes, somebody might say, no, it's not due to Joe because it was, a attack from a terrorist force, so on and so forth. No, it is due to Joe, because Joe's inaction and Joe's stupidity in all matters of foreign affairs is the reason why. And so tonight, I'm sorry, but I got to start it off. We're gonna take a moment to honor these 3 wonderful young soldiers who have lost their lives. So if you please join with me. Stand, put your hand over your heart, take a moment, take off your hats, take a moment. I'm going to obviously play taps for these folks. So here we go. All right. Rest in peace, soldiers. Rest in peace. And just so you know that their names, this was in a press release on Monday, the Defense Department put out, and going from left to right, we have Sergeant William Jerome Rivers. He's 46 of Carrollton, Georgia. We have Specialist Kennedy Landon Sanders, 24 of Waycross, Georgia, and Specialist Brianna Alexandria, let me try that again. Brianna Alexandria Moffett, 23 of Savannah, Georgia. They all died on January 28th this year in Jordan. Folks, we can't keep this up. We really can't. And I don't know. I mean, okay. Sorry. I gotta clear before I go ranting. I don't want to disparage these folks, passing. So before I go and get to ranting, let me go ahead and just move on out. Our prayers go out to their families, and our prayers go out to their families and friends in their time of mourning for these folks. On this program, I am a big advocate for veterans. I am a big advocate for making sure that our veterans are taken care of. And all I can tell you is this. Last I had heard, and I'm hoping that this is not the case, but last I had heard, our president wasn't even planning on being at Dover Air Force Base to receive these 3 service members' bodies. And for those of you who may have short memories, this jackass of a president, and yes, I am calling him out, this jackass of a president stood there, and when the 13 came back from Afghanistan and sat there looking at his freaking watch. So it's probably best that he doesn't go, that he doesn't come to receive these service members' bodies. I guarantee you one thing, if I was elected president, I would make time for every single soldier and their family that died under my watch. To me, that's one of the saddest possible things that anyone could possibly have to do, is order these folks into battle, or even just have them overseas and then have them killed because of decisions that I would be making. And it's just disrespectful to me, and it's absolutely horrible. As a former service member, non-combat. Keep in mind, I was not in combat. I'm not like Sean Parnell, who spent 10 months over in a combat zone. I was not there, but I can tell you that it just makes my heart ache every single time I see a flag-draped casket coming back, knowing that somebody underneath gave their life. Their government cashed that check that they signed on for, and for him to be as callous and as cold as he is. And you know what, libs, don't even sit here and try to tell me that whole debunked story about the suckers and losers of Trump. You can kiss my lily white one, because I'm telling you, that has been debunked twice, 3 times, 50 times until Sunday. Trump respects the military. He may not have served, but he respects the military. Joe thinks the military is a punchline or a way to get votes. He's just a despicable human being when it comes to trying to use, and of course, yesterday, he apparently at one point he had not called the families of one of these service members yet. And he finally did. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've got to give him credit. He at least finally called them. But I'm sorry, but something like this happens, that would be my first priority, is to make sure that they got on the line and everything else. This guy just disgusts me. And any veteran who sits here, I see it all the time on social media. They talk about how, Biden, I'm going to support Biden because Trump doesn't support the military. You know what, folks? Biden is anti-Constitution. Especially in the enlisted ranks, when you stand up and take that oath specifically calls out that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And, how anybody who is a veteran can support Biden is beyond me. I'd really like to understand where that thought process comes from. And I see a lot of people on social media who are that way. They're like, I don't know. Anyway, all right. Sorry. Enough of that. All right, let's get the show started off. Of course, new thing that we've been doing is obviously starting off with the Pledge of Allegiance. And so, again, folks, please, If you are of a mind to, stand up, remove your hat, and join in with me on the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I thank all of you for that, of course. Wow, just a hell of a day. All right, tonight I am drinking Buffalo Trace, a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. And it is in my True Grit Roots Network Rocks glass. Yes, folks. Oh, I have something to show you. Let me taste this. Good stuff. Hey, check this out. I have to give all of you guys props for this. Anyone who is watching this program and anyone who listens, take a look at this map. Okay, take a look at this map. It is all of these dots that you see on this map are people who have listened to TGRN. Check this out. And look, yes, Becky over on Facebook, she's right here. Oops, sorry, she's right here in Australia. I got 3, 4, 5. There looks like there's 6. There's some over in the island that got cut off. There's an island that's just off. Just off to right above my hand here. Right here, there's an island that just got cut off on the map. Unfortunately, and let me see if I can back it out a little bit. There it is. So you can see there's an island right here. I don't know what islands these are, but there's 4 or 5 people over there that have been listening as well. It is because of folks like you who make True Grit Roots Network, TGRN, the #1 worldwide digital radio station for blues. We thank you all from the bottom of the TGRN hearts. We thank you all for all of this. It is just fantastic to see this map of the entire world. TGRN, we started off thinking we were just going to be US and UK, but we are worldwide. We are 100% international, and this is fantastic. Thank you all for the support. Our CEO posted something on Facebook here not too long ago about this, and he put a little video in of the world where this came from, and I just took it and put it into a image on a map. But thank you so much for the support. We are growing, we are expanding, we are getting better and better. We have fantastic on-air personalities that bring you the best blues programming, bar none. And so, again, I thank you very much. That is True Grit Roots Network, TGRN. TGRN.net. That is fantastic. And of course, you can head over to TGRN.net and grab either our app to listen, or you can find us in the Live 365 catalog of digital radio stations. And once again, I cannot thank you enough. That is fantastic. When that was shared with me, I was floored. I was floored. We are international radio station. And of course, after saying that, I do have to ask all of you, I would love to have this channel grow and grow and grow. I'm almost at 640 subscribers or followers, I should say, on Rumble. You got to get over to Rumble, folks. You got to head over there. I know I transmit on, Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and, of course, Rumble. But you've got to head on over to Rumble and make sure that you sign up for an account and then follow the Whiskey Musings Broadcast channel. You can help me out, too, by pressing that thumbs up button. It's called a Rumble. It's called a Rumble. And you can press that thumbs up button after you sign in, and you can show Rumble how much you like this program and hopefully get more exposure and everything for me. I do appreciate it. Because this show is 100% for you guys. It's all for you. I put it together, but you guys enjoy it, and tell me, and of course tell me when I'm off base as well, because obviously this is for you. This is totally for you guys. And I do appreciate all of my Whiskey Warrior P1s and newcomers to the broadcast and to the program. Please help me grow. Help me make this my job, because I would love to be able to do this and expand the times and hours that I spend with all of you. All right. So, let me move on to our next spot. So, those unfortunate souls that lost their lives that we honored in the beginning of the program, they are kind of a precursor because of the fact that they were taken out by a drone. And reportedly what had happened was there was a returning drone, U.S. Owned drone that was returning, that it sort of that the incoming enemy drone sort of masked itself in terms of coming in. So that got me to thinking, and I'm not the only one, but check out this article in Breitbart. The next Pearl Harbor or 9/11 could be brought by a drone, and we aren't ready for it. Now, for those of you that are listening on the audio portion, speaking about that audio portion, I just want to let all of you Apple Podcast listeners know I finally submitted this show to Apple Podcasts. So, and it's been accepted. So you can go and listen to that after the live broadcast. Of course, it goes and then publishes out in audio format only to places like Spreaker and Spotify and that kind of stuff, iHeartRadio. But now I'm on Apple Podcasts as well, so you can listen there too. Okay, so here we're talking about the potential of using drones. You know, we've been using drones. America has been using drones in warfare for a very long time. We've been using them to carry we've been using drones for a very long time, firing off missiles and stuff and bombs, dropping bombs on people from, all kinds of things everywhere. But the thing about it is that we never really thought about them possibly being used against us. And this brings up a very interesting point. Now, as a part of the article, there was a lot of conversation with regards to how cheap drones are and how quickly they can be put together. But there's another technology that makes this even scarier, because one of the things that has to deal with warfare is that if you attempt to overwhelm the enemy with superior firepower, it doesn't even have to be like bigger firepower. It can just be more firepower than they can defend against. And so what ends up happening is, you fire a whole crap ton of missiles off at somebody, even something like, Israel's Iron Dome can get overwhelmed by just sheer numbers. And so it's things like this that sort of make you think, all right, you think a drone's a toy or whatever. Well, they're actively being used in in combat today over in Ukraine and Russia. They've been running essentially a drone war at each other for some time over in Ukraine. And according to the article, Ukraine's actually even just been building them out of cardboard. You know, think about that from like a radar detection standpoint, because radar has to detect, if it's not a stealth object, it detects off of the metal, the reflections off the metal. Cardboard doesn't reflect. Cardboard absorbs. And so in this kind of a situation, we could be looking at the next level of warfare, but it's not even that. It's not even going after like hard targets such as military bases or any of those kinds of places. It's going after the soft ones too. Because if you can get a drone or even a group of drones put in place, it doesn't take much to go and launch them at a soft target. And let's be honest, here in the United States, it's not as though we have defense mechanisms across all of our soft targets. Hell, we have gun-free zones in what some of our most precious commodities known as schools with our children. And we don't even allow guns to be on those campuses. And yet here we have a potential weapon that can be used against us. And it can be done via remote control halfway across the world with the right kind of technology, the right kind of communication systems. This is scary. But it goes even beyond that, because, you know, 1 drone, 2 drones, 5 drones, maybe they could be taken out. But what about, let me ask you this. Before I ask you that question, let me ask you this. Has anybody seen those drone clouds, those LED drone cloud lights that are, you know, light shows and things like that? That they are, you know, they do all these fantastic, you see videos of them all over the place, especially over in places like Japan and China, where they do air shows. Instead of firing off fireworks, they have drones. And these drones have LEDs on them, and they do these fantastic things in the sky. They do all these tricks, and they do shapes, and they do, you know, all kinds of aerial tricks. And they do all this with the LEDs and all that, and make pretty pictures in the sky. Well, guess what? DARPA. Those are called drone swarms. And essentially what those drone swarms do is you have one, which is the queen, and they act a lot like going and, like bees, for an example. So the drones that are surrounding or connected to the queen does something, and the rest of the drones all do the same kind of thing. Well, DARPA's been testing this out to support our military in combat, like small infantry troops going into very densely dense building areas and stuff. They're testing this stuff out. But here's the thing. What if you had a swarm that was all loaded with bombs? Or C4 attached to it? They don't even have to have any kind. I mean, you could even use like black powder. You want to talk about having terrorists who are able to put together IEDs, improvised explosive devices. What do you do when you have thousands of these things? Up to 250 drones, all headed to the same damn target. And you're not going to necessarily be able to get them all. And Lord knows you may not even be able to get the Queen out of this. And I'm just telling you, folks, this is some very concerning things. Using this kind of technology in a broad-based application. And I guarantee you, if these people are, if articles are being written about this stuff, it's already been thought of. It's already been thought of on the battlefield. This is completely scary. Now, this particular article that I'm referring to, which, by the way, all of the links are in the description of the video. But if you go and read this article, they're referring to this particular test that they were doing with these drone swarms. They're referring them to being able to protect our troops on the ground, to be able to see and use cameras. But what they're talking about here can also be thought of at the same time from an attack perspective. And I quote from this article in The Verge, "While individual drones can be useful, a swarm of them would be more difficult for someone to eliminate if they don't want to be seen. DARPA thinks that a swarm of drones would help with a complicated environment like a city, where it's hard to see long distances. A large group of drones could provide some insight into a unit's surroundings." Now, keep in mind what they are talking here. They're talking about protecting our troops. I'm talking in particular about using it in an offensive capacity. You can't shoot them all down. You're not going to be able to shoot all of them down. And the Queen, unless somebody was stupid and painted it differently, the Queen in a drone swarm would not be easily identified. In fact, the thought didn't even occur to me realistically, even though it should have. There was a television program that I used to watch. It was on TV called Scorpion. And what ended up happening is they were talking about, in particular, the plot line of this show was that this group of highly intelligent individuals, high IQ folks, were, in this particular episode, were contracted by the DEA to try and take down what literally was a drone swarm, but there was only 5 or 6 or 7 of them that were carrying drugs across the border. Now, this is just absolutely crazy to even think of, the idea that you could have up to 250 drones all armed and try to hit a target. Trust me, it would be difficult at best to even hit half of them. But this is some scary stuff. The use of technology like this, and especially considering the fact that the cost of building these things and purchasing these things is coming down, because as with anything with technology, it comes down at the longer that we have something available, because it starts to become more mass produced, cheaper to make, easier to make. And so as long as the technology is around, you'd be able to eventually purchase a swarm of these things for a mere few $100s and make them all work. And don't think that the smart folks who are the terrorists haven't already figured that out yet. We are living in some scary times, folks. Scary times, and unfortunately, I don't think it's going to get any easier as far as that goes. All right, so meanwhile, speaking of battles, the New York Times put out this piece, Inside Biden's Anti-Trump Battle Plan. and where Taylor Swift fits in. Okay, so here's the thing. I gotta ask. I gotta throw this out. Actually, before I take off on that, let me go ahead and tell you about this fantastic item that you can purchase and help support the show. It is the greatest document for government entities that has ever been put together. Folks, this is the Constitution of the United States. This is a Saddleback leather-bound version that is just fantastic. Check out this leather. It's got 1/8 of an inch of leather on the outside. The inside pages are tear resistant, water resistant. Sorry, my camera stopped for a second. It has stitching that goes all the way through the leather and the binding. This is fantastic. It has a 100-year warranty against materials and defects in workmanship. You can send this back to the manufacturer anytime in that 100 years, and they will either fix or replace it for free. It is buddy tested, buddy approved. Billy the Kid tasted and approved. And also my youngest whiskey warrior has taken and verified that the contents inside will get you your Civics badge in Scouts. It has sexy rounded corners. And yes, as 3 Chevy points out every single time I do this ad, the amendments are actually in numerical order. This is a fantastic gift for someone or even for yourself. Go to constitution.whiskeymusings.online and purchase yours today. That's constitution.whiskeymusings.online, and you can pick up this fabulous keepsake item. You can pass it down to your loved ones because of that 100-year warranty that is on it. Once again, go to constitution.whiskeymusings.online. It is a product from the Institute on the Constitution, and they are a fantastic organization. You should go and check them out as well. But once again, go to constitution.whiskeymusings.online and pick up your Saddleback leather-bound U.S. Constitution today and support the show in the process. And I thank them, of course, for allowing me to be an affiliate of theirs. Check out the Institute on the Constitution. Great stuff, great stuff. You want to be an American? Read the Constitution, know the Constitution, and understand that is where your rights are enshrined and protected, or supposed to be protected, by our government. All right, so back to this whole thing about Taylor Swift. I just have a question for all of my whiskey warriors out there. I know you guys come to this show and you listen to what I'm talking about, but let's be honest here. If I somehow, some way, make it and I'm like super ass famous, okay? Just so super famous. I mean, first of all, if I do that, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to try to stay down to earth. I want to be more Keanu Reeves than any other person that's out there, honestly. Keanu Reeves is just awesome. If you've ever watched him, Keanu Reeves, another one that I really like is Gary Sinise. And I appreciate all those guys. But if I become super ass famous, okay, and I am giving you advice on something that I have literally zero knowledge in, for an example, if I go and try to give you advice on, let's say, obstetrics, all right? I just made that up. But anyway, I try to give you advice on obstetrics. Are you going to listen to me? Are you really going to listen to me? If I try to give you advice on global thermonuclear bomb building, am I going to be able to convince you or give you proper advice on that? No. No. Why? Because I'm not a subject matter expert. I am not a person who has experience in those fields or any other thing about those particular subjects. But hey, if you want to come to me and talk to me about, I don't know, the Constitution, American history, doing a podcast, okay? Maybe potentially if you have technology, because I work in technology in my normal job, doing things like public speaking. If you come to me for those kinds of things, then you could probably take my advice. You could probably at least consider it somewhat valuable. Why does anybody sit here and listen to our stars and our famous folks who literally have no clue what they're talking about in terms of things like politics? The entire freaking thing on the internet has all been, they've all been talking about how MAGA and Republicans and everybody's afraid of Taylor. Taylor Swift this, Taylor Swift that. And I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to take any advice from her in terms of politics. I'm not necessarily going to take any advice from somebody like, Robert De Niro in politics. But if I were to be looking and searching for someone's experience in, say, acting or entertaining or songwriting, then I might pay attention to those folks. But for some damn reason here in America, especially with our younger generations, they are all like lips stuck to the rear end cabooses of these people, and they will follow them anywhere. Okay? Now, I just have a question for all of the Swifties. If you happen to be watching this program, I'd love to hear from you, but how is it that you have someone with the likes of Taylor Swift, where all she does is write songs and programs about, write songs and sings and does an entire program throughout her career of her bad choices in men, and then believe that she can choose Joe Biden and that would be a good choice? I'm sorry. Look, I understand she's a mega super pop star or whatever, and she's got some songs that are good. I won't get you wrong. I can tell you this much, that whenever I've listened to her live in comparison to her albums and stuff, there is a heavy amount of editing that goes into her singing on the albums. But anyway, Joe Biden apparently needs her help. So obviously we've seen some of the Biden campaign, attacks on Trump, and, he's a dictator. He, some of the things that Trump has said have granted come back to bite him, and so on and so forth. But here's the thing. They seem to think that Taylor Swift, and the left in particular, seems to think that Taylor Swift is going to be Biden's savior. And I'm sorry. As Ben Shapiro says often, I have my doubts. She has something like 30 million or something followers on Instagram. And yet she recently did a get out and vote, and was essentially only able to garner somewhere around 35 to maybe 40,000 people signed up for voting. I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see where her endorsement is going to make that big of a difference in terms of Joe Biden and overcome Joe Biden's failures and his problems. Now, Buddy over on Rumble brings up a good point. She's an American citizen and has a right to her opinion. You are damn right, Buddy. You are damn right. Just like I have a right to my opinion and speak it pretty much every time I broadcast, so does she. But the thing about it is to sit there and make people think that just because I give my opinion, that all of a sudden that's going to be the magical elixir that is going to take care of Joe Biden and his failures and his policy issues and his geriatricness and his gaffes and his cognitive decline. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. But the left, of course, is going to use that and is going to pound it into everyone. Here's an MSNBC article where they are talking about Taylor Swift could save Biden in 2024. And they're like saying, now this is an opinion piece, again, an opinion. All right. But this is an opinion piece where the musical megastar may be the rare celebrity with the cultural influence to shift the political tides. They're putting a lot into this. Now, look, there are some superstars out there. There are some well-known people that I personally would love to meet. I would love to meet James Woods. And he has a fantastic tie into the American Revolution. And he posts on X about the American Revolution because he has ancestors and a personal tie to the battles. I've talked about it on this program. I would love to talk to Keanu Reeves because I just think he's a cool guy. I mean, anybody who is making the millions that he does off of movies, and yet he still takes the subway, to me is just amazing. I mean, I would love to talk to Gary Sinise because of all the work that he does with veterans. I'd love to meet and talk to Trace Adkins or Creed Fisher or any of these other people who are American focused and understand the value of us living in America. Those are the types of people that I would want to talk to. Those are the types of people that I would want to talk to. And in terms of, I would love to meet John Rich from Big and Rich. I would love to meet him. I like his whiskey. I think we'd have a great, glass. We'd have a good conversation. I think it'd be fantastic. Ben Shapiro would be another person I'd like to meet. But Mark Levin would be another person I'd like to meet. But realistically, taking their advice on certain subjects, just like anyone taking my advice on a subject that I know literally nothing about, is ludicrous. And to sit here and to look at their opinion and think that just because they're a superstar, that they absolutely understand things about policy and politics and those kinds of things. Yeah, that's a bit of a stretch. And for the campaign, the Biden campaign to bet on this, I think, I just don't see it. I have my doubts. I have my doubts that it's going to provide them with the push or the jump that they want. Now, what's really funny about a lot of these famous people, and this is just because of the fact that, again, we as Americans, we sort of have this enamorment with, and I'm not even sure that's even a word, but we're enamored by, there we go, that's a little better. We're enamored by these people who have, realistically, they have become very good at what they do. Just like, Bill Gates. Bill Gates was very successful at what he did. He created a software company and was able to, manage that and work that into a very successful business and sales business and push it to, just about every computer in America. Everyone in America has dealt with Windows. But what's funny is if you step outside of America, Windows isn't that popular, other than the hackers who love to hack in it. But still, the point being is that the man he did great things, and I'm not taking any of that away from him. Okay. But for me to go and like ask him about, well, I don't know. I can't even think of a subject that I would ask about him. Outside of the fact that his thoughts on the food situation and eugenics and, population control and things like that, it just doesn't seem to be something that I would necessarily be wanting to talk to him about. I would want to talk to him about marketing, maybe even computer programming. Definitely talk to him about running a business, for sure. But those are things that he has proven himself to be an expert in. To ask an entertainer about politics, to me, is kind of crazy. And that brings me to this next article, because every time you see a famous person, they're always asked about whatever the latest thing is. Politics, gun control, abortion, whatever. Well, Kurt Russell was asked by a podcaster, apparently, about gun control. There's not a video to this, so it's all audio, but and it's only about 2.5 minutes long. But I want you to listen to this exchange. This seriously gets cringe. I know that when I bring on a guest, I try to ask them questions within the zone that they are in. Okay? I try to ask questions of their expertise. I don't necessarily step outside of that per se, or I might ask them personal questions, internal personal questions about their life or whatever. But I try not to ask questions that are going to be beyond their expertise. So why we have this fascination of asking, sports figures. You ask a sports figure like LeBron James. You ask him about all kinds of things. And granted, he is of the type that he will go ahead and make his opinion known in front of the platform when he's on the platform. But the thing about it is that these people, while they have opinions, that's not what the interview is necessarily for. So anyway, let me get into this. This is Kurt Russell, who honestly, I got to tell you, after this exchange, I kind of am like, you know what? It'd be cool to have a drink with Kurt Russell too. This is Kurt Russell when he was asked a little bit about gun control.
Yeah, I don't understand the concepts of conversation of the gun culture. We've lived with guns since, what, the 7th century or something? I don't know.
We all know that right now. Guns is a trope. It's it's not a trope. It's a totem. It's a metaphor that disenfranchised white guys need. It makes them feel good because they're being.
You can say what you want. I don't agree with that. So it's not my thing.
But it's statistically.
Well, you can look. If you think gun control or something like that is going to change a terrorist point of view, I think you're like out of your mind. I think I think anybody is. I think it's absolutely insane. The problem we're having right now is that we don't have the concepts of how to turn it around and say, you may think you've got me worried about what you're going to do. Dude, you're about to find out what I'm going to do. And that's going to worry you a lot more. And that's what we need. That will change the concept of gun culture, as you call it, to something of reality, which is if I'm a hockey team and I got a guy bearing down on me as a goaltender, I'm not concerned about what he's going to do. I'm going to make him concerned about what I'm going to do.
I get that.
To stop him. That's when things change.
Obama's point was that the guys who are on the no-fly list because of terrorist connection.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there because he has got it on point. Kurt Russell just summed it up in a nutshell. And this is what is, and I can break it down to you in just one phrase: the power of deterrence. That's all that is. It is the power of deterrence. Now, realistically, what I need to understand, or what I really don't understand, is why would you even ask that question of him? Now, I could understand if somebody were to go and ask Tom Selleck as an example, because Tom Selleck was an ardent supporter of the NRA. And because of that connection, I could see where, yeah, you could potentially ask him his opinion, which Rosie O'Donnell did. And, she kind of got slapped, by Tom for that, because, again, he points out that wasn't what he was there for. And he got blindsided by it. And that's sort of what this exchange sort of sounds like, is that Kurt Russell kind of got blindsided. And I'm not going to finish out the clip. You can find it. It's on Twitchy. I've got the link in the description again, and you can go and listen to it for yourself. It's on Robbie Starbucks X account. You can check that out. But the thing about it is that, we ask these people these seemingly out of left field questions. And this is not something that we really even need to necessarily care about. I mean, I don't necessarily care about Kurt Russell's political viewpoints. What I do care about is that he's a great actor, and that when he gets on screen, he can entertain me. That's his purpose. That's his job. Now, if I happen to run into him in a bar and, the topic of conversation comes up, great. All right. But the thing about it is that why would you even bother to bring that up in a podcast? And what I think is really funny is all of these superstars that are making money off of action movies and using guns and weapons and everything else. And yet they have this mentality of, we need gun control. We can't have guns running around. People can't have guns. Yet you've made millions of dollars acting like you know what you're doing with a gun. I mean, look at Alec Baldwin as a perfect example. That guy was on the set practicing with a gun and yet violated one of the very simple 4 rules to gun handling, safe gun handling. One of them is always treat it as if it is loaded. Keep your booger picker off the trigger until you're ready to fire. Point it in a safe direction. And not only know what your target is, but also what's behind that target. Simple rules that he would have easily avoided his entire situation where he tragically took the life of someone on set. But obviously he had no clue, yet he's still handling a freaking firearm. I just don't understand the concept, first of all, that we put these people on a pedestal. Because believe me, I don't want to be put on a pedestal, okay? You guys, all of my fans, you can come up to me. You can, be happy that I'm doing this. But trust me, I am not something special. You do not need to put me on a pedestal. I don't expect you guys to put me on a pedestal, because I am no different than you. I put my pants on the same. I have, I like sweets just like you do. I have to eat and drink and crap like you do. I'm a human being. I'm not anything special. You guys are the special ones to me because you keep coming back to this show. There's no reason to put anybody on a pedestal. I'm not interested. Now, speaking of gun control, and hey, just real quick shout out to Dee Bev. Hey, over on Rumble. Hey there. And yes, I see your comment, Tommy, over on Facebook. I do see your comment there. All right. So speaking of gun control, by the way, I don't know if anybody has noticed, but the state of California, and actually here in the state of Washington, they are trying to pass a law where they are going to put what they are calling a luxury tax on ammunition. And so you go and pay an additional like 11% on the ammunition. And let me just point something out to you. That's the next gun control thing. And by the way, California has already done it, but thankfully, based on a very persistent legal battle, that has now been overturned or taken away. So they passed a law in California where they were requiring people to run a background check every single time that they wanted to purchase ammunition. I mean, the background check is for purchasing the regular firearm, but California went one step further and put in a proposition and put it into law that they would have to go and pass another background check every single time you went to purchase the ammunition for that weapon. And there's long battle, but it finally has at least ended for the moment until the state goes and appeals, because they've already indicated that they're going to. But the thing about it is that it was taken care of by I believe it was the court of the United States District Court from the Southern District of California has gone ahead and ruled that due to the Second Amendment, the using the background check to purchase ammo violates the Second Amendment, because in their mind, and again, keep in mind, this is probably going to get appealed, so don't be surprised if this gets all the way to the Supreme Court. I'm going to tell you that right now. But in the background check, they apparently, or with the ammunition purchase, they apparently, the district court in California has agreed with the plaintiff in saying that, well, ammunition, in order to purchase the ammunition, makes it so that the gun itself becomes useful, and therefore blocking you from buying ammunition, because that was the key, is that even if you went through the background check, if you had any kind of a flag on that background check, you could be denied the purchase of that ammunition. And their logic essentially was that, well, if you can't buy the ammunition, you essentially make that gun inoperable. And when you do that, that essentially violates the Second Amendment, because the Second Amendment requires, get this, and this is an argument that I've had with several people, a well-regulated, meaning in working order, weapon is in accordance with the Second Amendment. You need to have ammunition for it. So you can't block somebody from having ammunition at the time. Now, 3 Chevy points out, why don't you just buy ammo in Nevada? Well, they actually outlawed that. They also outlawed at the same time that you couldn't buy it from an online dealer either. You had to go to a face-to-face meeting with an FFL, okay, with an FFL and do the background check. And your background check not only was like the regular NICS background check, but it also was, you had to have and apply for a card from the state that allowed you to purchase ammo. I mean, believe me, the thing was just well over stuff. But yeah, you couldn't buy it and bring it back across state lines. That was illegal. You couldn't buy it from an online dealer. According to the law, you had to be in face-to-face with an FFL in order to be able to buy the ammunition and go through that background check. And so what the district court has confirmed, as Buddy points out on Rumble, ammo is considered a part of the firearm, and that is true, according to this new decision. And they went through, and I've got the link. You can go and download it. You can look at all of it. It was called Proposition 63. And you would have to go and purchase a permit that would cost $50. That would be good for 4 years. The permit would be renewable, but it would also be revocable for a what they call a disqualifying event. So anyway, it's a big argument, but this is something that, of course, this was kind of talked about within the Obama administration. I do recall that Obama was talking about, well, we may not be able to get your guns, but we can get your ammo, or something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing, of course. But the point is that now we have some court precedent. We have a precedent that has now been set that essentially calls out that the ammunition itself is part of the firearm, which is a good thing. All right. Let me tell you about my wonderful place where you can get fabulous Whiskey Musings logo gear. Go to store.whiskeymusings.online. And you know what? I've had somebody tell me that they couldn't find my gator. Let me see if I can find my gator. Let me see here what we have. Let me go here. Let me see if I can find the gator. Maybe the gator fell off and I wasn't paying attention. Hang on. Let me see if I can find it, because they wanted the gator. But you can go and get all of these other wonderful things that I'm showing you. Hoodies, t-shirts, regular sweatshirts, all kinds of wonderful products at the store. Go to store.whiskeymusings.online. That's store.whiskeymusings.online. And you can check out my store. So give me just a second. Let me see if I can go to store.whiskeymusings.online and pick it up. You know what? It looks like I may not have the gator anymore. I'm going to have to check that out. Oh my gosh. Maybe the gator's been taken off. It could have been just a winter thing, unfortunately. But anyway, head on to store.whiskeymusings.online and check out all of my products. I have the Whiskey Musings logo. I even have my motto in both white and black lettering. Is when I drink, I think, on a bunch, just a fantastic bunch of my products. Drinkware, mugs, water bottles, steel tumblers. I've got bags, phone cases, hats or caps. Let's see, what do I have? Yep, there's the cap right there. Woohoo! All kinds of stuff. Head on over to store.whiskeymusings.online and pick up something for you today. And yeah, that would be fantastic. I'm sorry about the gator. I thought it was there. My apologies. I'll have to look into that. Hopefully I'll have something for you by next time. But anyway, yeah, head on over to store.whiskeymusings.online and pick yourself up something and support the show in the process. I know I would appreciate it. And yes, it looks like the gator is gone. The gator is gone. I'm going to have to check that out and see if I see where that came from. But anyway, head on over to store.whiskeymusings.online today and pick up you something. I hate just asking for money. I always want to make sure that you guys get something in return. It's fantastic. Anyway, all right. So, speaking of court cases, I just talked about one that is coming up. Well, is there no end to what Democrats seem to be accused of when it comes to impropriety? Really? Is there... tell you what, you know who you are over on Rumble. Send me an email about that and we'll see what I can come up with. I may just give you the one that I have. But anyway. All right. So here's the thing is that, oh, did I do it wrong? buddy, did I say the spelling was wrong? All right. Maybe I did do it wrong. I'll look for it. But anyway. So, all right. So Cori Bush, who, obviously she's part of the squad. She's a flaming leftist, and apparently has now stepped out from her comfort zone. And I don't know if anybody remembers, but she was under fire over her personal security for it. And she apparently is now being investigated by the DOJ for a misuse of federal funds. It's a watchdog group that had demanded that the Federal Election Commission investigate $62,000 that she paid to her now husband for security. And it was from her campaign account. Now, for those of you that don't know, I've never run for office, but I do know that there are very specific rules as to what and how you can use that money when you collect it during a campaign. And the Federal Election Commission is in charge of all of this. Well, she apparently is now being investigated. So Monday, the DOJ announced that there is a subpoena on the floor of Congress. And it is now since been learned that it is directed at Cori Bush, according to an article in the Daily Mail about this. And so when asked about security before an interview, Bush was adamant that she needed to spend the money on security. This was, of course, during the time that COVID, I think, was going around when this happened. But anyway, they're finally catching up to her about this, and this is part of an ethics complaint. And the FACT executive director. Now, FACT, what is that? FACT is the Foundation for Accountability and Civic Trust. Director Kendra Arnold wrote in the complaint, "It appears Representative Bush's campaign may have made payments for services that were unnecessary or above market value because of her personal relationship with the payee." Well, now, I seem to recall there's somebody else who is starting to go under investigation due to a personal relationship that's going to potentially affect the potential outcome of a court case that the Dems seem to think is going to torpedo a certain presidential candidate's candidacy. These people are nepotists, folks. They are completely nepotists, and they have absolutely no qualms about breaking the law, apparently. So, anyway, yeah, that's just, oh my gosh. It just, I can't even imagine. I really can't. And speaking of other law stuff, I mean, I pay attention on this stuff a lot, but the whole Hunter Biden thing. Well, according to the Washington Examiner, a judge overseeing the criminal case in Delaware that was involving Hunter Biden's tax stuff has unsealed the original warrants that came in for the Hunter Biden laptop. The Hunter Biden laptop that was like, fake information, Russian disinformation that didn't exist. All it had was a whole bunch of porn pictures and, Hunter doing drugs and that kind of stuff. I mean, really? That thing, that supposedly Rudy Giuliani got copies of it and, changed it and modified the data and did all of these things that even though, the right, the ones that know, have all been saying that the FBI has had it. Well, now we have even further proof. So when they unsealed the warrants, and again, this is in the Washington Examiner, the first one, there was 4 of them that they pulled out. And here's the dates that were on the executed warrants. The first one is August 30th of 2019. That seems to be like a year, roughly a year prior to the 2020 October surprise. So the FBI had it, and this was the government executed a warrant to search a hard drive containing information associated with Hunter Biden's Apple iCloud account. Now, for those of you that don't know anything about Apple, Apple has a cloud backup system that, generally speaking, what they do, and I believe, and I don't know this because I don't use Apple products, but I believe it's mostly for photos, but it also could be for files and other data, backs it up into your cloud, and it makes it available to you not only anywhere, even if you're not on your Apple computer, but it also makes it so that if you end up switching Apple products, you can actually download that information to the new machine and still have all of your files and stuff intact. So that's what they searched first. And then in December 13th, same year, 2019, the government executed a warrant to search an Apple MacBook Pro laptop and a Western Digital external hard drive. Folks, I'm telling you, the left is losing out on things to say is Russian disinformation. This is all here. This is available. The government had it for almost a year prior to it coming to light in October, where they sat there and essentially said that it was Russian disinformation. They even got 51 supposed intelligence people. Well, that's an oxymoron, folks, but intelligence people to say, oh no, this has all the earmarks of Russian disinformation. Yeah. I'm just getting tired of finding out the truth on a lot of these things. Speaking of a last piece with regards to court cases, we are now technically 8 days away from hearing this, or from the Supreme Court hearing about the landmark 14th Amendment Trump ballot case in Colorado. The Supreme Court is actually, and I didn't necessarily know this, but apparently they were supposed to be on some sort of a break from the end of January, roughly, to mid-February. But they decided to forego that because of the importance of this particular case. So they decided to forego their break in order to hear this case because of the magnitude of this particular situation. And I guarantee you, I'm going to be watching on February 8th to try and make sure that I see what happens out of the hearing. They have oral arguments set for that day. And so I promise you, I will be watching and paying attention to that, for sure. All right. Now, I've been talking a lot over the past several episodes about the 3 theaters of war that we have potentially going on. We have the first theater for World War III, which is Eastern Europe. We already have that undergoing. That is Ukraine and Russia. The second theater is starting to heat up right now with, of course, Iran's proxies in the Houthis, Hamas, and Hezbollah. all taking pot shots and doing all kinds of things over in the Middle East. And I've been telling you the third theater to watch for potential World War III is going to be over in China and Taiwan. Now, a lot of people have been talking about, oh, China can't take Taiwan. China is, doing all these things. And yeah, we don't have to worry about China. Even Joe Biden has been talking about, no, we don't have to worry about China. China's China. We don't have to worry about that. Well, the Defense Department put out a report called the Military and Security Developments Involving the People's Republic of China in 2023. Now, this is an annual report that comes out. But here's the thing. The Defense Department apparently doesn't agree with the Biden administration in the fact that China is not that much of a problem. It actually goes through and identifies the scope of Xi Jinping's global ambitions and many of the structural changes that are happening over there that are coming out. So this is hat tip to Real Clear Defense for this. And again, I've got the links in the description of the videos if you want to find these things. I even have the PDFs, a PDF of the report itself. But here's kind of what it's talking about. The report focuses correctly on the extent of China's military buildup and modernizational program. In 2022, the Chinese Navy continued to beef up what is already the world's largest fleet and is working on delivering its third aircraft carrier and third amphibious assault ship, as well as additional guided missile destroyers, cruisers, and frigates. Beijing's Navy will soon be able to conduct long-range precision strikes against land targets from both its submarines and its surface combatants. Now, we've already known about China's Navy. I've talked about it on this program. But what I didn't notice, and what I've neglected to mention, and is in this report, by the way, is that the Chinese Air Force continues to modernize and produce increasingly advanced, domestically built, manned and unmanned aircraft. Manned and unmanned. Unmanned aircraft. Could that be drones, perhaps? Could that be drones? Possibly. Together with China's, and this is from the piece, together with Chinese Navy's air assets, it now constitutes the largest aviation force in the Indo-Pacific. Led by its fifth-generation fighter, the Ju-20, Beijing's Air Force is on its way to becoming the largest in the world. However, perhaps the most worrying, the report documents that over the last 12 months, China has built 100 new nuclear weapons, making it the fastest growing nuclear power on the planet. Beijing is on track to numerically match the U.S. nuclear arsenal by 2032, according to this report. Now, it's stuff like this that would make anyone of any kind of intelligence give pause. This is a problem, people. I'm telling you, this is a problem. And with their economic problems that they've been having, that they've been trying and struggling to become an economic power in the world, the economic power in the world, it's stuff like this. Stuff like this that is getting worrisome. Now, it's not all gloom and doom, because apparently the report, according to the article, is wrong in a couple of areas. The report errs on the fact that it's relying on Chinese official defense budget top line of $230 billion. So they're basically saying that China has officially said that they're only spending $230 billion, but in reality, they suggest that the real defense budget is likely far higher. Some European think tanks have estimated the real Chinese defense spending to be at least 30 to 40% higher than the official budget number. That's not something that you want to get wrong, for sure. Apparently, China's budget is not including details on research and development, where we actually have our spending bucket here in the U.S. accounts for more than $140 billion in the U.S. defense budget, and our defense budget is roughly around $886 billion that Congress just authorized for our defense budget. Folks, apparently defense spending goes farther in China than it does here in the U.S., of course, because of labor and material costs are definitely lower in China. So yeah, this is, I mean, there are some other things in this article, but realistically, I mean, this is again another cause for concern, and we need to pay attention to this. Speaking of money, just real quick before I get to the pet of the week tonight, Biden and his allies are still talking about Bidenomics, folks. They are still talking about Bidenomics and trying to make people think that Bidenomics is this great thing. According to this article in the Federalist, Bidenomics is so bad it's a punchline, but Americans are not laughing. And this is a thing where, because, I mentioned this before, where at a campaign stop in a Pennsylvania coffee shop, President Biden seemed shocked at $6 for his smoothie. And yeah, he is definitely out of touch. But Karine Jean-Pierre tried to cover it up by saying that the president was just joking around. But yeah, our money is worth actually less and less. Now, this is part of the problem that everybody keeps talking about in terms of the economic situation. So in 2019, before the Democrats primarily closed the schools and the economy, so this is pre-COVID, the median household income in the United States was $78,250. Under Biden, that's dropped to $74,580. And you can't blame COVID for that, even though they keep trying to make it this way. Between 2021 and 2022, which was after the COVID pandemic ended, median household income dropped under Biden by 2.3%. And the median household income after taxes dropped by 8.8%. Now, we also know that the cumulative annual average inflation is somewhere around 20%. Now, keep in mind, this is for everything in terms of that. But for every dollar that you had in 2020, you're now 20 cents less for each dollar at 80 cents. So yeah, this just is, I mean, again, I can keep going, but just keep in mind that we're losing savings. We're deep in debt. We've got all kinds of things. This is not going well. And Bidenomics is not. The American people are not buying it. And what's even worse is that now UPS just announced that they're going to eliminate 12,000 jobs this year. 12,000 jobs this year. And this follows on the heels, believe it or not, it follows on the heels of that epic UPS union showdown and signing of the tentative contract agreement. Yeah, Bidenomics is not working. And even Janet Yellen has stopped trying to make people, well, at least in this particular statement, make people think things are hunky-dory, because she finally admits that high prices are here to stay. High prices are here to stay. This was when she was speaking during an interview with ABC News Live over this past weekend. She admitted that prices aren't going down, contradicting arguments repeatedly made by the Biden White House about easing inflation. And yet Yellen also in 2021 claimed that inflation is transitory, which is not the case. They've been claiming that prices on everyday goods and services were going down, but yet they're getting more expensive at a slower pace, which is exactly what I've been telling you on this program over and over and over again. We are still in an inflationary cycle, and it's not going to stop as long as the government keeps spending and spending and spending. All right, last article. This is at least some positive news, just really, really short because I don't have a lot of detail on this. But apparently, according to the Daily Wire, the House committee, which was convened to try and impeach Mayorkas, has advanced 2 articles of impeachment forward to essentially put it to a vote above at the actual House itself. So they, and believe me, there was some argument back and forth with regards to this, and they're like Dan Goldman, who is a complete moron of a Democrat representative, was talking about how the request wasn't like it had any kind of legal or criminal charges attached to it. Well, Dan Goldman forgot the fact that while he was on the both impeachment trials of Donald Trump, that they went ahead and they forwarded impeachment without a criminal charge. So, yeah. Apparently, the 2 articles of impeachment that were forwarded was alleging that Mayorkas has willfully and systemically refused to comply with federal immigration laws, and the other one claims that he breached the public trust by making false statements, knowingly obstructed lawful oversight of the DHS, and made false statements to Congress, which we have him on video saying that the border is secure, that the border is secure, that the border is secure. The border is not secure. And we all know that. We all know that. So he is potentially, if the entire House can vote on it, he is potentially going to be in some serious trouble with that. All right. So let's get on here with I'm sorry, I'm laughing at the chat that's going on over at Rumble. Apparently, they've gotten off the topic and off the train again. Like that really is any kind of surprise. Telling you folks, the party is over on Rumble. All right, let's get on to, and wait a minute, where is this? There we go. Got to remember this. All right. So here is our pet of the week. All right. So tonight's pet of the week was submitted, and I have to admit it's a little odd. It's a little odd because of the fact that this isn't technically anyone's pet. It was a photo that was found on the internet and submitted as a backup, just in case I didn't have a pet of the week. So I have a pet of the week now. But I'm going to tell you right now, there's to end the night on a really good note. I've been kind of hitting you with some, doom and gloom, and we started off the show with, taps and all of that. And so I feel like it's apropos that I finish the show with some massive amounts of cuteness in the pet of the week. Check out this little guy. Let me back him off just a little bit so you can see him under the... Look at this little guy. He is so cute. There's no details with this. I'm not even sure what kind of a dog this is, but it reminds me of puppies. All the time, puppies. Puppies, puppies, puppies. My wife, Mrs. Whiskey, she talks about puppy breath being just like, she loves it. She loves to smell puppy breath. And I also understand that our very own Amy over on Rumble is going to be expecting, well, her dog is going to be expecting some pups soon. Apparently one of her wonderful, fantastic, and very well-trained dogs got loose and came back pregnant. But anyway, so here's this cute little puppy. And so I want to throw this out in the chat. I'm going to wait a few minutes, but I want to throw this out in the chat. If you had this puppy based off of just this photo, okay? If you had this puppy, what would you bother naming them? And let's assume, just for the sake of argument, that it's a female. This is a female puppy. What would you name her? I've got a couple of suggestions, but do me a favor, throw it up in the chat really quick here and we'll go through a few of them. So let's see. Tommy is the first one in on Facebook, calling her Snickers. Call her Snickers. Any other suggestions? Oh, well, this is good. Baby would be her name. We've got Snickers and Baby. You can almost go Baby Ruth. I mean, if there were two of them, you could have Snickers and Baby Ruth. But what other suggestion? Anybody else have a suggestion on a name for this cute little thing? I'm thinking, I mean, granted, keep in mind, I'm a guy, okay? I'm a guy. So I was thinking just because of her position, it'd be Howler. She looks like she's getting ready to howl. Oh, we have Annie Oakley from Outlaw Dogs. And we have Muppet from Coco Dominky. Ooh, Brandy. I like that. That's cool. Brandy, Annie Oakley. You guys are coming up with some good names. I just can't. I can't come up with really good names for dogs. Oh, and according to Buddy, that's a beagle. And beagles don't howl. They do something else. I can't think of what it's called. It's like it's not a howl. It's not like what you would think of as a howl, but anyway, so it's a beagle. Oh, Snoopy. Well, beagle, that fits. Coco Dominky, Snoopy. Those are some good names, good suggestions, but just look at that face. You got to look at that face. I mean, really. Oh, of course. 3 Chevy. Oh my gosh. DOG. Of course, 3 Chevy comes up with that. DOG. Say what? DOG. Say what? DOG. Hey, maybe I could give Ben Shapiro a run for his money on the rap stuff. No, I can't talk that fast. Oh, and of course, Buddy Weiser comes up with Queenie. That's a good one. Princess? That'd be another one. Along the royalty lines. Oh, just a cute little dog. I'm not ready for another pup. I've got my own pup right now, and yeah, he needs to. No more animals. Mrs. Whiskey, if you're listening, because I know sometimes she does, no more animals. We're not doing it. Not doing it. We got plenty as it is. All right. Well, thank you all for all of your suggestions. I do appreciate it. Hey, do me a favor. If you want your pet featured for Pet of the Week next Wednesday, send me an email to fans, FANS, at whiskeymusings.online. Oh, Bam put in whiskey. I'll be honest with you. I think that would kind of be more of a male name than a female, but that's okay. I could deal with it. I have a horse named Whiskey, by the way. My horse, he's actually, his full name is actually Geronimo's Irish Whiskey. He was born on St. Patrick's Day, or at least I believe so, because when I went out before midnight, on the 16th, Mama hadn't popped. And when I went out after midnight, there he was on the ground. So my guess is that he was born on the 17th. So yeah, I named him Geronimo's Irish Whiskey. And yeah, he's our youngest. Maybe I'll show a picture of him one of these nights. But anyway, if you want to submit your pet for Pet of the Week, do me a favor, head on over to your email and send me an email, fans at whiskeymusings.online. You can send me the photo of your pet and then name, breed, and then any kind of pertinent information that would go along with it. Also, you can use fans at whiskeymusings.online to send me a question of the week. I don't believe I have one for this Saturday, so that's my Saturday thing, is question of the week, questions for whiskey. So you can head on over to fans at whiskeymusings.online and submit one there. Also, do me a favor, if you enjoy the program, make sure before you take off, if you're on Rumble, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, hit the like button on Facebook and all of the other ones too. It would be fantastic. I do appreciate all of you, and we will see you Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, right here on the Whiskey Musings broadcast channel. Have a great rest of your week, and good night, everybody.
The Whiskey Musings broadcast is produced by Active Eye Media, LLC. All rights reserved.